it's crazy to me how much just business in general is totally mindset. It's totally mental toughness, mental strength, mental ability. Now, what do I mean? I've noticed, like, ever since I got into being an entrepreneur and having my own business and doing my own thing, being able to quit my job, travel a bunch while still being able to work, analyzing it now that I'm 25 years old, I'm midway through my 20s, and looking back on it, when I started when I was 19, I realized how much mindset plays into your success. And I'm not talking about the mindset where you're like grinding and waking up early, and discipline, and all these things that everybody talks about. I'm talking about the other side, which is kind of like mental health / mental awareness / just confidence in general. When I look back on when I started with business, and I actually mentioned this in a recent video, if I knew when I was like 19 or 20 the amount of ups, downs, work, sacrifice, if I was aware of all the stuff that I would go through up until this point, now that I'm 25, from 19 to 25, I probably would have never started getting into business at all. Why is that? Well, it's because it's very, very, very difficult. It's very difficult because, especially as an entrepreneur, you're someone who makes your own schedule. You are your own boss, which is good from the outside, but once you try it for 6 years, like I've been doing it, it's very mentally tolling because you have to make your own schedule. You have to do everything on your own. Like if I am feeling weak one day and I don't want to show up for my work, like there's no one pushing me to show up unless I'm paying for like some kind of, I don't know, consultant or coach. But for me personally, I've never been really good at investing in myself. So I've not really had anyone to push me in that way. And I've never really struggled with pushing myself. I've always been able to pretty much force myself to do things that I don't want to do. And that's kind of a prerequisite, in my opinion, of being an entrepreneur. You have to be able to force yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And that does go back to what I mentioned at the beginning, where it's like, that is kind of the general thing, like having discipline and grinding or whatever. But what I really am talking about is just the whole mindset, the overall mindset that goes into to being an entrepreneur above all else, which is showing up every day and putting in the work and having the confidence, the self-confidence that the work that you do is good and is making a difference and will take you from living in your parents' home to owning your own place someday. Having that self-confidence, I think, is number one when it comes to business. And when I was younger, I can probably attribute it to ego almost. And ego is not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. But when I was younger, I definitely had a bit of an ego. And I maybe thought I was a little better than I actually was. But I almost think that benefited me in the beginning because I was kind of more confident in myself and my abilities than maybe I should have been. But because of that, I had the confidence to go out and do them and actually do them decently. Now, I'm talking about things like starting my own online course, running a full Facebook group with thousands of people in it, answering questions about self-publishing books, starting a YouTube channel, posting videos, talking out there, putting my name out there, putting my reputation on the line, all those things. There's no way I would have done that if it wasn't for having a little bit of an ego and being a little bit overconfident in my abilities. Now, again, I'm not saying it's a good thing to do and be egotistical. It's absolutely terrible. But it's not like I had a huge ego. I think it just kind of played into the fact that I was able to do some things that nowadays, if I think back, it's like, can't believe I actually did that. So more so than ego, it's self-confidence, I think. Having the self-confidence and the self-belief that you can achieve something and that you're better than your competitors, it's very important, especially in the beginning when you're just getting started being an entrepreneur and starting a business. Because now that I'm more self-aware, and I think about things more, and I'm more self-conscious about what I say and what I do, I've noticed a direct effect on my businesses and how they operate and the numbers that they do and my reach on social media, all these things. Now that I second guess things and have more self-awareness, I guess I'm a little bit older, I'm able to look back on these kinds of things, and I don't have the same quote unquote ego or self-confidence that I used to. I see things going downhill, right? So that's just something that I've noticed as I've gotten to my mid-20s here. And you see it with a lot of younger people, right? 18, 19. They have a lot of confidence. They also have nothing to lose, right? That's another point is I think entrepreneurship, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's less risky when you're younger. Obviously, you have less obligations, you have less priorities, you have less things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, especially if you're living at your parents' house, you have no bills, you have nothing, right? So it's like, why not give it a try? And that was me when I started. So it's way easier when you're younger to not really succeed with business, but get started and actually do things that you might not do when you're a bit older. Because now that I'm 25, I feel like I'm at the point where if I don't start doing, if I don't start just being, pushing things to the next level and pursuing something that I like doing and turning it into a business that's successful, I feel like I'm too late at this point. Too late, because I mentioned it in my previous video, it takes a good 5 to 10 years to actually reap the rewards of a successful business, in my opinion. Like, sure, you've seen businesses turn into multi-million-dollar things overnight. And by overnight, I mean like 1 or 2 years. Sure, that happens, but the percentage of that happening is very, very low. So you have to think statistically and be realistic. And the realistic way that things usually play out is 5 to 10 years of hard work, dedication, discipline, sacrifice, all those things. Now that I'm 25 and I started at like 18, 19, it kind of feels like I've almost wasted 6 or 7 years of business. And now I really got to push ahead. So I don't even know what I'm going to title this video. I'm kind of all over the place. But I think the general reason I started filming this video is because I wanted to talk about how difficult business is and how hard it is to achieve things if you don't have a set out plan and if you don't have the right mindset. Because if you don't, it's hard. It's one of the most difficult things, in my opinion. And I'm not saying other things aren't as difficult, but being an entrepreneur, being in business is so cutthroat and so lonely at times and just it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And yeah, you basically make your own future as someone who's in business and runs your own business, because you can't rely on anyone else. You can rely on employees and contractors and them to do things for you, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you who is going to make it happen. There's no one that's going to do it for you. So this all stems back to having the self-confidence and the self-belief in yourself to do well, and believing in your abilities. And it's just stuff that I struggle with personally. And I've realized, and I've noticed it get way, way, way worse as the years have progressed since I started a business. And I think it's because I've just become more self-aware, and it's like noticing like, okay, I'm not actually as good at those things as I once thought I was. And that starts to hurt. It starts to make things very difficult. Makes things very difficult because you start to realize, man, maybe this isn't for me. And then it gets challenging. So that's all I really wanted to talk about, is having self-confidence and self-belief, and having a idea like, is this something that you want to do for the next 5 to 10 years? That's what it's going to take. And that's probably the short end. It's very short. Is this something you want to do for the next 10 to 20 years? Dedicate your life to and actually make a difference and make it something that you show up for every day. Is that what you want to do? Because 95% of the time, you can't just start a business and within 1 year exit it, make millions of dollars and retire. It's pretty rare. And the reason why it might seem more achievable is because you see YouTube videos about it all the time, but you don't see YouTube videos about people talking about how it didn't work out and how, yeah, that was a dumb idea, I shouldn't have done that. You just see the successes on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, right? So yeah, just wanted to talk about how important it is to have self-confidence, self-belief, and know whether or not this is something you want to do for the next 5 to 10 years at least, at a high level. Be disciplined, make those sacrifices, and put everything you can into it in order to beat competitors and be the best in your field. So just wanted to talk about that today. Yeah, that's it. See you next video.